Debt is the new biggest creative director in Hollywood. Basically, now with this new merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers, there's going to be a huge amount of debt that is now steering creative decisions, steering what movies get made, how long deadlines happen, how quickly things turn around, and a whole lot more. We're going to be talking about that today on File New. This is your weekly source of creator and designer news. We're also going to be talking about a new camera that you can look down at waist level and take pictures from, how that's going to look with a different type of sensor. Apple is having a big week this week with a bunch of new announcements with new MacBooks and new phones. We'll be talking about that with some tablets as well. And we'll be talking about a bunch of different developments in rebrands as far as the Getty has had a rebrand. There is an NPR update. There's a Actors Award rebrand that happened from earlier this week. And a whole lot more with some resources, spotlight, and font of the week. Thank you for being here. And let's get right into the news. So today on File New, we're going to talk about this Paramount and Warner Brothers reveal merger plans. This is coming directly from Screen Thrill, a really good Instagram page that has a lot of updates on the industry, especially with Hollywood and the idea of the constant changing entertainment industry. This is coming as a new update. It is something that is actively evolving and we're learning more about because the entire plan is not entirely done, but it is something that seems like is going to move forward. HBO Max and Paramount Plus will combine into one streaming service. So now if you have your SpongeBob and your Euphoria, you can have a crossover. I made a joke about that with a friend of mine and I was like, haha, that's never been thought of before. And then I remembered the TikTok trend from a few years back now at this point, where people were pretending to dress up for Euphoria high school in like really scantily dressed outfits, but they used the sound of SpongeBob from Squidward being like, "And why aren't you in uniform?" And I was like, wow, so this crossover kind of already has begun and has already started to happen. But now this is something where they're all going to live underneath the same umbrella. And now who knows what this means for intellectual property, which ones still get added on, which ones get saved, which ones will, see the test of time. It also looks like it says 15 films per studio with a 45-day exclusive theatrical window for all of the new things that are coming out from this new studio. The merged company will carry approximately $79 billion in debt, and that's what we teased at the very beginning of the show. And I want to talk a little bit more about that because there's also a really good article from IndieWire. And it is a very interesting perspective of just how it's going to change the landscape. It kind of looks similar to when the golden era of movies changed in the earlier 1900s, and the idea of when all the studios switched. And then it also kind of looks again when there was a vertical funnel of a monopoly of the studios and how that also changed. So it is interesting to see this kind of start a new era again of this gigantic company. They said that there is $6 billion in cost cutting across tech, real estate, and corporate overhead. They have no plans to spin off cable assets, meaning sports like the UFC could air across networks. Film and TV shows will still be licensed to other platforms, and it's described as a tool for artists for AI, not a replacement for storytellers. And so that's all coming from, like I said, Screen Thrill. They have these developing stories. I do want to talk about the debt, though. So this is a big deal and big part of the story coming from IndieWire. They had a really great article about it. We're only going to touch on a little part of it, so I would definitely recommend reading the full article if you can. This is coming from Dana Harris Bridston, and it says, debt is now one of the most powerful creative executives in Hollywood. Scale financed by debt operates differently, and Hollywood is about to find out how. It says that the combined Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery will carry two studios that produce a combined 30 movies a year, which is what we were just talking about with 15 per studio. And then it will also have one streaming service with 200 million subs. They have more than $6 billion in synergies that they're somehow going to cut within the next 3 years. Don't know how that's going to happen. Don't know what that's going to look like. I imagine a lot of people are about to lose their jobs and a lot of things are about to change. They're so big that they shape creative trajectory is the argument here, and that creative decisions don't disappear. Debt introduces timelines, thresholds, and obligations that shape what's acceptable. It says that the new company will immediately be one of the world's largest direct-to-consumer platforms. Companies carrying large financial obligations must reliably and repeatedly convert assets into revenue. So there's less experimentation and less comfort with the idea of being able to take risks and things that aren't going to give you a direct payback. So I think that this means we're going to see even more of the cinematic universes of intellectual properties just grow and grow and grow, because if it makes money, they're going to say, let's do it again. Let's do it again. I'm sure there'll also be big changes with shareholders, the ideas of what the shareholders want to see and what they see as successful, which already was a thing, but I'm sure now it's even more so. The dynamic impacts licensing strategies, development timelines, and the flow of talent. Products that do not align with financial priorities often migrate elsewhere, what we were just talking about. Studios no longer function as the industry's sole organizing force these days. Massive acquisitions don't reverse that trend, they accelerate it. The changes won't be visible immediately, especially since all of these productions and things take time and years. It's something that will somewhat be a boiling frog situation where it just kind of continues to get warmer and warmer until then all of a sudden it's very different, and we just kind of saw the whole progress over the years. But I am interested to see what happens with the intellectual property that is owned by both of these, how the streaming services are organized. We need to do a whole episode for my YouTube channel or something about the way that we organize the channels on all of these streaming platforms, because between Netflix, HBO, Paramount, Hulu, Apple TV, no one has really figured out the best way to navigate around these shows. A lot of times I'm looking for something and I know what I want to watch, and it takes a lot of effort to get to it, even if I'm just like picking back up. I know HBO has an area that says continue watching, but even then, a lot of times it's like 5 or 6 rows down where I'm like, I'm popping up and I want to go from there. So I think we'll have to touch on that as well. But it'll be interesting how this also changes it, because it consolidates in the same way that like Hulu and Disney Plus are going to consolidate into one app eventually. It's the same kind of idea where we're getting less and less of them. Oliver says, the most important question, does this mean there will be more shows on Paramount Plus? Well, yes, if they merge everything, I would imagine all the assets kind of go together. Also, Umacorn is saying, can you see what I'm saying? Yes. Hi, Umacorn. Good to see you. Don't worry about it. Nice to have you here. Hello to everyone in chat between Stephen Overturf. Stephen's saying that I had a good Squidward voice. And then also, Clever's here. And Frank is here. Wade, among others, Virgil, Josie. Thank you guys for all being here. If you're watching the replay, I promise to make this worth your while. That said, we are going to start experimenting with the idea of cutting down these episodes and then re-uploading them as videos. So if you are looking on the podcast playlist that is on YouTube, starting with this episode, I'm going to have to edit it afterwards. I am going to replace this live stream URL with the video of the cut down of this, so that it feels a little bit more streamlined. It feels more easy to digest, and it is also isn't in the YouTube algorithm as like a live stream, because those don't get served up as much. That said, we will continue to always be first and foremost a live stream, and the best part of this for me is being able to talk to you guys about the news that's going on and how you guys feel about it, and get a good idea of how the creative industry is reacting to all of the news stories that we go over. But that's just a little file new update for you. So that's kind of dark news to start off. So let's go into a fun news segment for our next one. This is the camera that was revealed at CP Plus, which is a photo and imaging show that is, I think, wrapped up now, but this is coming from Petapixel, reported on by Jaron Schneider. It says, this Canon's prototype SLR style camera with a waist level viewfinder. It says the imager in this prototype has a type 1 sensor, which I looked up. Apparently type 1 sensor is something that is prevalent in a lot of phones. So it is a small sensor. It's something that is easily kind of thrown into things that you can throw in your pocket. But this is most notably not something you can throw in your pocket. It's, they say, about the size of a mango or a grapefruit. And it is kind of made by design not to be able to be super transportable. You'd have to put it in a bag. You'd have to purposely carry it. But the big gimmick of it is the fact that you're able to look down and be able to shoot from waist level. So I think a lot of times we have this concept of cameras or phones where you hold it up, it's in your face, you're out of the moment in its way. But there's two things here. One, when it is up in front of your face, right, and you're looking at the screen, you still have that extra layer behind it where the thing is like still in your field of view. The interesting thing here is you're looking down, so it's not in your field of view and you're not like putting it up in front of everyone else. But then also for that, you're no longer looking at the actual thing in your peripheral anymore. So I don't know if this is better or worse for living in the moment, because to one extent it is on your waist level and you're able to look down and not really have to be absorbed into a phone or an interface. But at the same time, then like you're, having a different connection. Oliver says that Type 1 is a 1-inch sensor, less phones, more compacts. I heard that actually even a Type 1 isn't even, and how big is a Type 1 sensor? I heard that it's not even 1 inch. You would think that it is, but it is approximately 0.62 inches. So it's called a 1 inch, but it's actually the size of it is smaller than an inch, which is interesting. It's based on an obsolete 1950s vacuum tube where the active imaging area was only about 2/3 of the 1 inch outer tube diameter. So a little photography lesson history for you there. Oliver also is providing some history context and saying that top down is how film SLR viewfinders were originally and TLRs before that. Very interesting. Love learning about photography. Make sure you guys check out Oliver's work. Oliver is an unaccredited producer of this show because he constantly adds so much great knowledge, insight, news stories, and everything above to this show. If you watch last week's episode, like half the stories are from Oliver. So very excited to have Oliver in the chat. So this unnamed camera that is just a prototype that was shown at CP Plus has manual focus only, is a fixed lens in the front of a mirror, and a screen that allows it to be used with waist-level optical finder. It does have a digital flip-up digital screen that you can use, but it appears that the main use case of it is the top-down viewfinder for this camera. What do you guys think about this? Would you guys ever, depending on the price, there's no name, depending on the price and how it works, is this something that you would ever be interested in getting? Would this be something that you would ever add to your workflow? I know some people just have like really hard to use cameras sometimes as means to be able to add extra elements. When I was on my buddy's bachelor party, he had an old golf camera that took a bunch of pictures in sequence side by side, and the idea of the camera was to be able to look at your golf swing back before like we were able to get these super high frame rate videos, and this was an idea of being able to take actual pictures. It was from the 1900s. But he brought it specifically because he knew that the content he was going to capture was going to be unique and interesting to the format that he had of the camera that was in his pocket, which added an extra element of fun. I don't know if that is just a passing fad or what we're living through now, but it is cool to have these gimmicks and these ideas of things that exist as a singular camera function that you can then bring around and document your experience. But just sound off in chat. Would you guys ever buy this? And if you were to buy it, what's the most expensive you would go for for something like this? Umacorn saying, I'd like one as a gift. I'm going to say, how expensive would you be willing to pay for this camera? And so as you guys do that and talk about if you would add it to your flow, let's go into another photography story, since I know I have your attention here. This is at a different conference on the other side of the world, but below the equator. This is coming to us from the Brazilian conference, which is the MWC. It's in Barcelona. And wait, no, sorry, that's not in Brazil. Why did I think it was in Brazil? It's in Barcelona. Still other side of the world entirely, right? I feel like I should like refilm that intro. LOL, embarrassing. But it's it's a multiple day conference. It's between March 2nd to March 5th, and it is all focused on a bunch of mobile technology and future proofing different ideas of different technology and kind of introducing into the world of what's coming next. At this event, there has been a lot of mobile news, but one of the really biggest takeaways is this story. It says Vivio's flagship X300 Ultra phone has a 400 millimeter Zeiss telephoto lens add-on. So you might be like, what are all those words, Ryan? In America, we have a lot of iPhone and like Google dominance as far as phone manufacturers. But especially over in like Eurasia, there is a lot of variety in your cameras and in the things that are kind of shipped to market and become really popular. It's also another reason why iMessage is really popular in America, but like WhatsApp and Signal is popular everywhere else because everyone else has like different phones. And so with this new telephoto lens, it actually has like a modular add-on to a camera phone itself. So like it's just a regular phone, regular camera, but then it has these module add-ons that then you're able to then add a 400 millimeter telephoto lens to. And if you're not familiar with photography or what those numbers are, like that is an intense nature zoom lens, like professional, like, you know, you're taking pictures of wildlife from far away, you're doing super zooms, and now this is on your camera. This is on the flagship X300 Ultra smartphone, and it will work with a professional camera rig, and also it has this camera cage that you can then attach the phone to, which is what we're looking to down here. This is being reported on by Jeremy Gray for Petapixel. It says that not only does it have the 400 millimeter lens, but if you have digital cropping, you can say that apparently it's going to a 1600 super telephoto, which is just unheard of on a phone. And it's interesting. I see these lenses and these add-ons that I get served on Instagram that, you know, give you different effects that you can kind of just put on, you know, this part you put on like a little add-on to your phone. But this is the first time I've ever seen some sort of structural add-on that goes directly to your phone. And so we have camera bags, you know, you have your DSLRs where you have a bunch of lenses and you also have the big body and you're moving things around. I'm really fascinated to the creators that are going to end up moving directly to a phone. And this phone, you can see, even has an area where you can add on a spot to make it feel like a DSLR with an idea. So it even has kind of the counterweight and the structural integrity of being able to wrap your fingers around it. I am so curious to see the content that comes out of here and how it compares to people who are bringing their full rigs and their full experience with them versus something like this, and the portability of content creation, of art, of documentation. And we have not gotten prices. They've been actually pretty kind of quiet about the phone itself. So to be determined as to like what the price range of this looks like. But yeah, Oliver is saying that there's been third-party stuff like this for a while, lenses that screw into a case or stick with magnets. Not seen one this long before, though. Yes, this is like the most crazy one where it like looks like a DSLR lens that is just kind of attached to it. All right, let's talk a little bit about Apple. So Apple didn't have a keynote like they normally do. They instead just had 3 days of different press releases for different things that they were shipping out. The thing that they are really leaning into today is the MacBook Neo. This is coming directly from their website. And I can actually zoom in here and kind of talk over this video. As you can see, we're kind of introducing this new MacBook. The thing that's super interesting about this new MacBook is that it's $599 as a starting price. And if you are a student and you have an educational discount, that's going to actually be as low as $499. It is the biggest budget-friendly laptop that Apple has ever released, and has really experimented with this. I think that the introduction of kind of like melding it with your hands and bringing it out is really fascinating and really cool effects. Look at how they open up the screen here. Very cool, very weird. Wonder how they did that. And also playing with elements. They also start pulling out like app icons soon that they then put on. This feels very similar to, what's his name on YouTube? He's the magician on YouTube. He does a lot of stuff like this where it kind of like pops out and creates. So a few things that are interesting about this camera, a few things are interesting about this computer besides the fact that it is a cheaper alternative. The thing that is interesting is that it is an A18 chip. If you're not a computer person, I promise to make sense of this. An A18 Pro is the chip that normally lives inside of a phone. So this is something that is on the devices that we have. It's strong, and the other MacBooks and stuff are on their M chips, which is their Apple Silicon, which is a whole different thing. But what makes this significant is because it's on an A18, it is fanless. So it's completely silent. You know, when you go and you like boot up After Effects and you're, editing at full resolution and you have 40 Gaussian blurs and 40 glows all on one layer, and then it sounds like your computer's about to take off. That won't be the case here because there are no fans for this device. That said, I don't necessarily think this is for creators that are going to be going really hard in like motion editing, their video edits. I think you could probably pull off some photo editing here. You could definitely pull off any admin work that you have. But it is a aluminum design. It is 13 inches wide. I saw that Umercorn said that it is tiny. And that it looks like an iPad Pro with a keyboard. And yes, essentially, more or less, the overlap between the two is happening more and more. It is only 2.5 pounds, so it's really, really light. It has up to 16 hours of battery life. It is equipped with a 1080p camera, has 2 microphones, spatial audio speakers, USB ports on the side, and a headphone jack. And goes off of Wi-Fi 6 for what it's worth. Well, Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth, and then also even has things like the Touch ID that you can get in there. They say that it's 50% faster for everyday tasks and 3 times faster for device AI workloads, which they always say that things faster. It's like hard to even tell at this point. And yeah, it's interesting to see them have an approachable price point because for the longest time MacBooks were always super, super expensive. Then as far as for us creative professionals, there also is an update to the MacBook Pro lineup. This is Apple introduces MacBook Pro with all new M5 Pro and M5 Max, delivering breakthrough pro performance and next level on-device AI. Beautiful color, and you can see that they had a big, long write-up. Unfortunately, I couldn't highlight it because when I highlighted it, it was like impossible to read. So I'm just going to kind of talk through a little bit what these new MacBooks look like. It's the next generation of Apple Silicon, so it's different from those chips that are directly for your phone. This is the kind of revolutionary chip that Apple introduced years back where like for Adobe Max, we even ran all of the Adobe Live production off of an M1 laptop, and we like did not run into any issue, which is bonkers. But now they are building it all into the capabilities of being able to create a really strong computer so that you can also natively run AI systems on your computer. The AI is now directly built into the GPU cores. So they added what's called neural accelerator, which dramatically speeds up local AI tasks like LLM prompts and image generation. They say that it's 4 times faster than the M4 and 8 times faster than the M1. They have a solid state drive in it that is a lot faster, that can reach apparently speeds of 14.5 gigabytes per second, which is 2 times faster than the previous generation. They are starting their storage size at a terabyte, which is double than their last iteration here. And it has 50% GPU performance improvements. It has Wi-Fi 7, so really fast. It has up to 24 hours of battery life, and can go up to 4 external displays. So if you really want to go crazy, you can have 4 displays out of this, and it's going to be able to handle the load and also kind of move everything around. This stream's coming to you from 3 screens. One is the teleprompter, one is the Cintiq, and one is my LG monitor. So it's interesting. Oliver is chiming in, saying, what is interesting is that the A18 Pro is the chip from the iPhone 16 Pro, not the 17, but the 17 uses the A19 Pro. Yeah, so why is that? Why do you think they wouldn't put the A19 in this new, cheaper one? I would assume is probably from a cost-cutting factor. I wonder if they added the A19 into the MacBook Neo, if that would then make it more expensive and not the $599, which I'm sure would be, you know, kind of inhibitive to maybe this new approach and process of making a cheaper one. Speaking of new tech, let's talk about the new idea of the fact that we're probably being recorded all the time. I mean, we're definitely being recorded all the time. Let's talk about how we're being recorded all the time. There is a new app that alerts you when someone nearby is wearing smart glasses. We've talked a lot about smart glasses on this show. We've talked about how creators can use it for hands-free content creation and recording, being able to capture moments where you might want to have 2 hands, or you don't want to have to focus on having something up against your face to be able to kind of record something while you're experiencing the moment. But something that's happening more and more is that these glasses, they look like normal glasses. Like, you probably have not even realized that they are there because they are so passive and they look just like regular Ray-Bans. Now, because of that and the idea that you might be being recorded at any given moment without knowing, there was a new app that was introduced called Nearby Glasses, and it scans the frequencies for nearby technology, and if it tells that there is a Bluetooth enabled technology that looks like Meta glasses or Snap glasses, it will then give you a push notification to let you know that you are in the vicinity of someone who's wearing these glasses. You can also set it up to be a reader of any sort of Bluetooth enabled technology. So if you're even looking for a certain type of microphone that you think that someone would be recording from, you could pump that into the app and then see if it is in your vicinity. It's not fail-proof, you know. This is something where it's a new approach and a new idea. This is something that I would read or expect something like Apple to introduce, in the same way that like Apple had the Ask Your App not to track my activity with other apps. Then again, they are rumored to come out with their own glasses soon, so I don't know if they would then introduce that. But it seems like wearables are in our future. So we have 2 paths. We have one where we just kind of submit and we're like, okay, we're just going to be recorded now, and there's no protections against that. Or there's going to have to be some sort of universal understanding with approach to be able to get warnings or opt out, be able to kind of navigate the world with these glasses. Apple, I know, had an issue with their AirTags for stalking, and then now they have the alert that says like an Apple AirTag is following you for a heads up to be able to turn it off or just figure it out. I'm wondering if something similar could happen with that with glasses. But Cody is saying this is a very useful app. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I hope that it definitely evolves and develops into something new. Because, yeah, you know me. I love technology. I love new things. I love the idea of being able to take pictures and record consensually from my face. But it is creepy to know that, you know, there's no privacy anymore. You just can be recorded at any given moment, and you might not even know you're being recorded. Kendall says, we're definitely being recorded all the time. And it says self-driving cars, and now this. What's next? Is the car going to be wearing glasses? No. TikTok went down. This was posted yesterday from The Verge, from Stephen Bonifield. It says that the U.S. version of TikTok once again was experiencing issues due to an Oracle outage. This is just a month after coming back online from a similar outage in February. I know that they also had some issues in January, but that was before it was the American one. So this is the second time with the American update. Apparently, the service disruption happened in the Virginia data center beginning early Tuesday afternoon, with Down Detector reporting spiking around 1 p.m. Eastern. They said that TikTok US, what does the DS stand for in USDS? I wonder. TikTok USDS confirmed in a post on X that users may temporarily experience lags in posting content while Oracle resolves this issue. Interesting fact is, like, most of the world's internet traffic goes through like Virginia. So this is something where it's obviously located in Virginia and is US based. But if you remember months back, there was this huge AWS outage because there was a bad line of code in like one person's thing, and then it like broke everything. It's so crazy when you pull up the map that the East Coast is the ruler of the internet. And so when something happens on the East Coast with the internet, the amount of people, one, because there's so many people that are located on the East Coast of the US, but also just because so much goes through the East Coast, that it is really felt large and loud throughout the world when one of these outages happen. I don't know if this is just something that is growing pains for TikTok as they are now having to do this US algorithm, if it's just a two-off thing. But interesting to see that only, like a month or two after they made this switch, that they're really struggling to keep things up. That said, I am on TikTok. Follow me, Ryan Selvy. Posting videos now more about design and reviews of different experiences. We're about halfway through our show, so I will promise to speed some stuff up. This is the article from Creative Block talking about the Huion Canvas 22. That's Canvas, Canvas. This is Gen 3. It says that it redefines what we can expect from a mid-range drawing display. When I say mid-range, it is $599, so not the most expensive, not the most approachable. Creative Block's Ian Dean gave it a 4 out of 5. Said that it's fast, smooth, and easy to use. It has a sharp display with good color input, and it has a fantastic premium build. It does not have a touch display, and there's no quick key remote included, but that's okay. I don't use quick keys. Does anyone else use the buttons on the side of their tablets? I never do. Also, let's add some clarification real quick. Back over to the TikTok story. Kendall is saying that Google says that USDS stands for United States Digital Service. Oliver is also saying that the DS is data security. So we have two different answers. It's either United States Data Security or the United States Digital Service, which could be either. Back to this story. It has this stand included, which normally is only included on premium models. It has a 2.5K display. You're probably used to hearing about 4K displays with a 90 hertz refresh rate, which is really fast for the most part. I mean, you can get up into the hundreds, especially with like video game devices, but 90 hertz ain't bad. And then it also has the latest 4.0 stylus. It says it is aiming to deliver balanced performance that genuinely improves everyday creative workflow. It has a cute little stand for your stylus in case you want to have it stand at attention. I can't, because if I do that, then my cat comes over and knocks it over. And it says that most tablets in this price range normally still run at 60 hertz, so the upgrade to 90 is really interesting. It has 16,384 pressure levels. It has 60-degree tilt support. It is made to have more natural and predictable strokes while drawing. And it is, I have not personally ever used a Huion, Huion, but I am in the market to get a new tablet because the one that I work off of is from the early 2010s, and that is now 16 years ago. So definitely not 4K or 2.5K for my tablet. I'll tell you that right now. It is like 1080p. We love Lucas O'Keefe on this show. He recently did a post about some updates to Instagram. It says, if you're wondering why you maybe lost access to certain Instagram features, it's because some of them have been shifted to being placed behind follower requirement. It says that in particular, Instagram Live won't be available until you have an account that has at least 1,000 followers. It also is limiting trial reels to make sure that you only can do it if you have 200 plus followers with a professional account, and you can only have a broadcast channel for 1,000 plus followers. You can see a full breakdown that he made, or he pulled from Instagram, from the official creators account. That just shows you the difference here between a personal account with 1,000 followers, a professional account, and a professional account with 1,000 followers. Obviously, you're going to get the most bang for your buck with professional account with over 1,000 followers. It's just something where like they can verify that it is more of a reputable source because it was able to get that much. Not to say that people don't hack accounts or buy followers and stuff and get past that threshold. But I think it's just a way to be able to limit down the amount of ways to be more secure in the idea of sharing and what have you. But Oliver's saying, what? Instagram? I mean, it's also just the shift of now social media is no longer just for personal sharing. It's not like you go on and you go live to, show your mom and your college friends updates on your cat. The idea, I guess, with live streaming and with some of this other stuff is because they're expecting people to use it in a professional sense. Oliver says they really want people to leave their service, don't they? But I think it definitely alienates the folks that are not necessarily people who ever plan to have more than 1,000 followers and still want to be able to have access to features, which is, a shame. But it also might be a cost-bearing thing where, I know that a lot of money is lost with Twitch and YouTube because streaming is very expensive, and until you have a certain number of viewers that are actively using it, like the cost versus reward is normally pretty much in the negative. So I'm sure they might also be trying to cut costs here. Obviously, it's Meta. They have lots of money and they have lots of different stuff, but they're also blazing through money with AI, among other explorations that they have in their arsenal. Clever says Pro and Instagram aren't together in my mind, but whatever. It would also be interesting, if you could verify it somehow and be able to then get access to these without, necessarily having these. And Kendall says that she thinks it'll be behind a paywall at some point anyway. I feel like that also would probably make sense. Then let's look at update from the Supreme Court. What a natural transition. This is coming from Reuters. This was 2 days ago. It says U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear disputes over copyright for AI-generated material. This isn't really anything new except for the fact that they have now since ruled on it again by not ruling on it, and said that the U.S. Supreme Court declined on Monday to take up an issue of whether art generated by artificial intelligence can be copyrighted under U.S. law. Turning away a case involving a computer scientist from Missouri who was denying a copyright for a piece of visual art made by his AI system. The plaintiff says that he appealed, and basically the decision was made that AI crafted visual art is the issue of the case because it was ineligible for copyright protection because it did not have a human creator. This is reporting going on from Blake Britton. You can read all about the process, about how this was kind of also determined in 2023 and is kind of par for the course. There are people that are saying that it's inhibiting advancements, and then there are other people like, no, how are you going to copyright something that is just prompted, and we could also just prompt it the same way? How are you going to be able to? You can't do that. So I think this makes sense. I'm not surprised. Nice to see that, it reflects kind of how artists feel. But just something to stay updated and knowledgeable. If you make it with AI, you can't copyright it. That's all of our news for today. We have plenty of rebrands that I want to talk about. So we're going to move into our next segment where we talk about updated brands, and it's called Rebrand. The Actor Awards were on Sunday. You might say, what are the Actor Awards, Ryan? They are the Screen Actors Guild Awards, who rebranded from Screen Actor Guild Awards because they didn't think that people knew what SAG was enough, that they said it's just better to have it as the Actor Awards. Yours truly uploaded a YouTube video or Instagram reel, depending on where you like to absorb content. And so I'm going to make you guys sit through it. Just make sure you follow me on YouTube. It's just Ryan Selvy on YouTube. I want to make sure that I have my output capture. Yep. And then we are going to... Oh, I can also get rid of... Yeah, no one told me that my thing was viewable. All right. Let's look at it. The biggest winner at this year's Actor Awards wasn't on stage, it was the stage. They rebranded from the SAG Awards, rebuilding everything around this massive curved display that became the design language for the whole show. According to Matt Steinbrenner, it drew inspiration from the curve of the SAG after mask and the idea of pulling back the curtain. You could see it in the ribbons framing the stage and in the motion design where transitions swept like red curtains, followed by a fluted glass layer that felt like another layer of drapes. Broadcast graphics weren't pulled to full screen, they were seamlessly integrated into the physical space itself. Last year, it felt like there was a screen on stage. This year, the stage was the screen. The color palette started with warm reds, peaches, and golds, but the whole system could transform into steel blues for certain awards and black and white for moments like In Memoriam. The lighting, stage, and graphics always shifted together. Look at the cool way they lit up the stairs here. Now, since the show was on Netflix, the design had to work on everything from a 6-inch phone to a 70-inch TV, so the type had to stay simple and legible. But designer Francisco Garcia Nava still found ways to add personality. Check out the corners of these lower thirds. They feel like stage lights. And I loved how the rotating reflective gold frames went around the nominees. Huge props to Silent House, the company behind the Eras Tour and the Macy's Parade, for pulling off such a great show. I'm Ryan Selvy. Follow for more designer and creator news. I thought it was a really good, successful rebrand. I think it was smart. When they announced different awards, they said the actor goes to, so it feels like it is a actor actor award, and also it makes it just easier to say rather than the Screen Actors Guild Awards or the SAG Awards. You're talking to somebody in person and you say the Actors Awards, people are going to understand by default what you're talking about. If you say the SAG Awards, people are going to say, what is a SAG? So it's a successful rebrand. The show was a successful branding, and I really enjoyed it. It was on Netflix, which is so interesting to just have these different award shows kind of migrate over into these different platforms, because a lot of broadcast companies and TV shows dropped the overhead for having award shows. That's why the actual like Screen Actors Guild Awards moved over to Netflix 3 years ago, because they were dropped by TBS, I believe, and they were like, okay, well, we still want to have this, and then now they've since moved over to Netflix, which is interesting. And Oliver saying a SAGgy award. Yeah, I think that's also part of it, is like, you know, you don't want to have SAGgy or anything else. But yeah, that is on my YouTube, which is Ryan Selvy, or on Instagram. Next, let's talk about Getty. Getty, you guys know, it's quite the institution. It is a wonderful museum over in California, and they announced a rebrand a few weeks ago. And there was a really good article about it that got me excited about it. I saw it and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then I saw an article on Print Magazine by Charlotte Beach that got me really excited, actually, about what it was doing. And then I had more opinions about it than I thought I did. You can see that they introduced this new G that is made up of blocks. According to the article, it says that they reimagined the G icon to form a square block that alludes to the travertine blocks, which are these blocks. I guess a type of kind of creation that's in the architecture itself. You can see that this is kind of more of a zoomed out view here. They also have these tiles and stuff. And also it is alluding to 4 mosaic inspired pieces drawn from artworks at the Getty Villa. Then they said that these pieces simultaneously represent Getty's 4 core programs, which is the museum, the foundation, the Conservation Institute, and the Research Institute. The G can be blown up, rearranged, and reinterpreted, unlocking endless iterations that reflect the open access to art that Getty offers its audiences. They've got a big color range here. They're doing fun things with breaking things out into the G here, even when the G is not expanded. We'll look at it in a second. This is coming from the Fred and Fareed New York division of that design agency. And they have a few different animations here. This is the one that they posted on their Instagram. And it just shows kind of like, you know, this is like so done now, by the way, of having like Bezier curves and scaling things up and moving it around. But they kind of had a curvier G that didn't necessarily, you know, have as much modularity. Now they are taking the G and then adapting upon it to have the different icon that's different from the G that's just straight up in the word mark itself. They said they are an arts organization based in Los Angeles, working globally with the mission to advance art and make it accessible to all. I picked up this Renoir painting just to show you that they are using it in the logo treatment and be able to kind of like reach through it. This is the different 4 pillars that they were talking about earlier. Gonna give it a reload. Wade says that he sees an E rather than a G. Oh, I can see that. I can see that. And so, yeah, generous, curious, collaborative, and visionary, unmistakably Getty. And then they have this one, which I don't know if... This is where that doesn't work as much for me. Like, the expanded G and having it kind of pop through and pop everything out, I think loses it. I enjoy when it reaches through the center of the G, like we were looking at with here, or elsewhere. But when it blows up with motion, I don't think it's as effective and as strong, both from a recognizability standpoint, a legibility standpoint. It's just also not the prettiest, right? Like, I don't know. I can vibe with that. I don't think I vibe with that. How do you guys feel about it? I saw Wade said that he thinks that it looks like an E. Oliver says, oh, it's a G. I didn't see any letter. Just didn't know what it was. That's also a very good point. Kendall also sees an E rather than a G. Clever thinks that it's too wonky. Now that's been pointed out, Oliver now sees it. And apparently, travertine is a limestone tile. So thank you very much to Reverb Mike. Reverb Mike's also saying not everything needs to be animated. Yeah, I think that we're definitely in an era, though, where it's kind of expected that you at least have some sort of animation. I just don't think it necessarily needs to be this one, right? Like, I don't know if it's successful in that regard. Then another rebrand. And I'm not sure if this one's official or not, okay? I found this one on Instagram, okay? And I was very enamored by it. Rembrandt Paints. This is coming as an identity refresh from Sylvan Hilbrand, and it says that established in 1899, Rembrandt carries 125 years of history and has become a respected name in fine arts materials, ready for a visual update. The process focused on evolving the design system to modernize the visual identity while staying true to its heritage and manufacturing constraints, refined typography, an expanded color palette, and a new graphic language while retaining the iconic logo at its core. It says that the design, the motion, and sound are all by him. And there's a full case study coming soon. I took a few of the shots from it, but I was super impressed. By the way, this is his Instagram if you want to go check him out. I was super, super impressed with the sound design, the rebrand. Typeface that goes with it. Cool way of revealing the typeface. Love the kind of archival approach of it. I feel like it's all just really well put together. So much so that I'm like, one, there's no way that you just do that if it's not official. I have not heard back from him, but very, very cool. New colors that I think still speak to it. And I'm seeing that Reaver Mike is saying he's a great artist. Kendall says very clicky. Why? I like the clicky. The clicky feels like a the clicky feels like I don't know, like being in the back of a library in the reserves area and being able to kind of like flip through things and like break through all the different kind of blueprints of things that are switched out. Umacorn thinks that it's nice sound effects, but Penny thinks that it's like a transformer, and Kendall thinks that it's too distracting with the clicky. And she thinks that it's too weird and distracted. So very interesting. Reaver Mike says everyone copies this lighting technique. Is that the one you're talking about where it's like later? It's like this one that I was really drawn into. Where is it? This guy. Yeah. I thought this was really cool. With kind of like the blur and stuff. I mean, I see it like in a lot of posters and stuff, but they kind of see through in the acetate vibe of it. And then also being able to kind of like show remnants of previous logos there. I thought were cool. Is that the one you're talking about? Or are you talking about something else with the lighting? Because I have not noticed that, but would be interesting to see. Two more rebrands that we've got that I want to go through. Shorter one is NPR is doing a campaign where it's not a full rebrand, but it is the first time that they've ever switched out. Reverb Mike is saying he's talking about the lighting technique of Rembrandt. Yes, that makes sense. Yes, yes. I mean, revolutionary, right? So this is on even their NPR's official Instagram. It is on their signs outside of DC. It's in New York. What would it say? New York City, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. across social media. And NPR's 3 iconic letters transform into how, who, and why. It was in partnership with the creative agency Mischief at No Fixed Address. And it is a limited edition activation. And apparently there was merchandise available on NPR Shop. When I went to go look for it, I couldn't find it. So I don't know if it's sold out or if it's not up yet. But this is a bold thing to do, especially with such an iconic logo. But then at the same time, like if I see that, I still know that it's NPR just because of the letter forms and also of the colors. Also, that it does always switch back to it. I mean, in the profile picture, it doesn't, but in the activation, it is still there. And they have a whole motif and reasoning behind it, and I recommend you guys go check it out. But I do know we're limited on time. The last rebrand we have of today, because I also know we do need to get into font of the week, and we only have like 10 minutes left. So we have 7 minutes left. This is toy brand manufacturer Mattel. This is reporting by Grace Snelling on Fast Company. And it is that Mattel has added a new custom font, and it is full of playful hidden details. For the first time in 80 years, the toy maker has a new brand font, and it has a bunch of Easter eggs in it. Now, the cool thing about it is that the name of the font, because it was created for it, is called Maddie and Belle Mattel Sans. And as they were going and researching and looking into things, they knew that it needed some sort of like reference back into the past. And they stumbled across a pair of characters named Maddie and Belle, which was a sibling duo that were featured in a bunch of the marketing and advertising and branding of Mattel back in the 50s through the 70s. At one point, the little boy was even part of the branding. So they ended up taking that branding of the names of the characters and then bringing it back into this creation of this typeface. You're wondering why there is a typeface. Basically, right now, since they have so many different factions of toy brands underneath one brand, they had always gone and never had its own proprietary typeface. Instead, they then opted to license different fonts at a global scale, which can be really expensive and tedious. And then also it just doesn't all feel like the same company. So they hired Chicago-based creative agency Gertrude and tasked them with putting a lasso around Mattel's corporate identity. And it's, it's a sans serif. It's nice and clean. But apparently there's also a bunch of glyphs that are also hidden within the typeface too that you can get to. And it also has a little fun back to the E, where if you put like a lowercase e, then it can get you the smile of the logo itself. There are... If you type certain characters, there's like official logos for brands like Barbie, Hot Wheels, American Girl, Fisher Price, Merge TT that creates the Mattel Works wordmark style and more. I don't know if you can download it anywhere, but this is all just reporting coming from Grace Snelling, and I think it's fun. It's interesting. I like toys. Toys are fun. Kendall's is cute. I like this. Yeah. New Halloween costume. That little Mattel guy. Says Penny. Yeah. No, that'd be fun. So yeah, I think it's a good time. Let's quickly move on to Spotlight, and then we'll run into Font of the Week. I don't know if we're necessarily need to do the resources, just because we're limited on time. But let's look at Spotlight. This is too cool. I reached out to Josh because I saw this and I thought it was so neat to learn about. It kind of goes back to what we were actually even talking about earlier with looking down at the camera viewfinder and like being out of the moment. It says when you're filming an interview, typically the people that you are working with are not the people that are used to being on camera. So if you just have them talk down to the barrel of a lens, they're going to feel awkward and you're going to get low quality interviews. So he highlights this nifty little tool that they rented out called the iDirect, and you can have the person conducting the interview actually talking to the interviewee. So let's look at it.
Have you ever wondered how they get those awesome interviews in those Netflix documentaries? Well, it's this tool right here. This is called an iDirect, and basically it's the concept of a teleprompter. So Jay is sitting there. He's the interview person. He's going to look in here, and this mirror in here bounces off this, and then there's another mirror here that bounces off that. And the interviewer can sit off to the side and be talking to the person and their face is in there, but they're actually looking down the barrel of the lens. So it helps the person being interviewed feel more like they're actually just talking to a person rather than down a black hole.
Isn't that so neat? That's so cool, and I love that. I mean, I have my prompter here that I put my Zoom calls on, which is essentially very similar, but rather than a mirror for a face, it's just a mirror for a monitor, and it makes a big difference. Also, recording videos and stuff. So I didn't know that technology was possible. It makes so much sense. I didn't know that it was something that people automatically did, and very, very cool for Josh Miller to highlight it. He's got a really cool Instagram. He's got a cool YouTube channel. It's Josh Miller DP. And then we got a few minutes left, so let's very quickly go through Font of the Week. I'll be honest, for this one, I picked the this one just because it was really goofy. The key art for it was so weird that guys, here comes Zolderdash. I had to pick. We're voting between in 2 minutes. Pollen, Rock Grotesque, and Zolderdash. So I'm going to very quickly put that vote up for you guys, and you guys are just going to have to vote fast as I fly through these, because then right after this, going live with the ladies over on Twitch. So first one is Zolderdash. It's designed by Ray Larabi from Typodermic. It is a fun serif font that has very wonky letters and not a structural, solidified, aligned, X height or anything. It's just kind of all the letters are kind of moved around. The description says that it is a campy version of Clarendon. The silly slab serif typeface uses automatic character substitution to create a boisterous, bouncy impression. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It has a lot of character. Obviously, you would not put something like a formal document in this typeface, but it is something that I think adds a lot of fun to any kind of thing you're creating, whether you want to be more approachable or cartoony, childlike, or just maybe even sarcastic, maybe something Western, maybe something with just a little bit more flair. So that's number one. Then we have Pollen. This is designed by Eduardo Berliner from Type Together. And it says, as far as the description goes, it's a poetically joyful text typeface from calligraphic roots. And so this one is Pollen. It is very pretty. It just is one that I feel like you could use for something that's serene or personal. You could use it for maybe an announcement. You could use it even for a funeral announcement, honestly. You could use it for a love letter. You could use it for a thought piece. It's just a really strong one that demands attention for the serenity that it has. And I think that it is different use case, but very fun. And then I wasn't sure if we've featured this one or not. I couldn't find it back when I did, but this one is Rock Grotesque. It's designed by Nicola Kostic and Zoran Kostic from the Kostic Type Foundation. It's just loud and proud and big and huge. It is a sans serif that is gigantic. It has variable sizes to its creation. It's not a variable font, but it has variable sizes to its creation. They have a whole write-up on it that I found where it says that it's a sans serif grotesque inspired by American wood type from the end of the 19th century. It has 9 widths and 5 widths. 9 weights and 5 widths, and a family contains 45 fonts in total. And there's a whole write-up, but I'm not going to have to go through that. So, Imric already has Rock Grotesque installed. Oliver is sending all of his corporate emails in Zolderdash now. Also perfect for legal documents. Yeah, so send a cease and desist or a restraining order in Zolderdash and let me know how that works out for you. And then I will update the fonts to the raindrop for your records. And yeah, I'm gonna say, what are we at time? We're at time, aren't we? Oh yeah, we're already over on time. So definitely a shorter font of the week. Do you guys like font of the week at the end? Does it feel too pressured into it? Let me know. Obviously this one is the most exaggerated form of them all. I feel like I could add more to it, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll then, and we have the winner of this week belonging to Zolderdash with 50% of the vote. And so congratulations to that. I'll make sure I update it on the raindrop. As I was saying before, you can check me out on YouTube, Ryan Selvy on YouTube, Ryan Selvy on Instagram as well. And then also make sure you follow File New as a podcast. I will, as I said, be making this into a cut down version for YouTube as well now. So then when you also revisit, you'll be able to go and see a cleaner version of this show. But thank you to everyone who tuned in and watched. I know that coming up next is the CA and LA girls over on Cinema Collective for Twitch, and that is going live right now. So make sure you go check it out. And they talk all about the film industry and working as film creators in LA. So make sure you guys check that out. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I will see you all same time, same place next week. Make sure you give this a thumbs up on YouTube. Helps with the algorithm. Share with your friends. And I will see you all real soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.